Hello dear students, today we are going to build a simple spaceship management system. Our application will be built using Android Studio, and of course we will be building an application for Android platform. So, our spaceship management system will consist of the following screens that you can see on my screen. Specifically, the first one will be the login screen, where we will show the logo of our spaceship management system. We will ask for the username and password input, and we will have one button to actually log in the customer. After successful login, the customer will be logged into the welcome screen, where we will show a picture of this person, his or her name, and also spaceships that this person owns. As you can see, Jeffrey Bezos owns New Shepard, also Spaceship 2 and Spaceship 3. Also, on this page it will be possible to click on the name of the ship to open information about this ship, and it will be able to add a new spaceship. So, looking at the information of the spaceship, we will see the image of the spaceship, name of it, and also some basic information. In this example, I have added a mass, color, and location. Within the screen, we will be able to edit the spaceship or to delete it. We will start with the deletion functionality. When we press the delete button, a pop-up should be opened where we will be asking for the consent of the user, whether we would like to delete the spaceship or not. If we press no, we will return back to the spaceship page. If we press yes, we delete the spaceship and return back to the welcome page. Also, when we press new button, the plus, or when we press the edit button, we will be moved to the new or edit spaceship page. There will be a possibility to add a new image for the spaceship and also change the image if the spaceship already exists. There will be input fields where we would be able to enter mass, color, and location of the spaceship. And of course, two buttons, cancel and OK. OK button as well as cancel will move us back to the welcome page. We will start with the Android Studio, completely with fresh project. So whenever opening Android Studio, you would need to press the button New Project, select Empty Activity, select Phone and Tablet on the left side, and press Next. You should name the application as you want, but at least I will name the application Spaceship Management System. Please see that the package name will be changed accordingly. As well, the save location should also be set to the disk drive where you have enough space. Please pay attention that the language should be Java. Minimum SDK should be set something that you believe will be usable for your users. I think that starting with Android 8 will be enough, and you will see that this application will run successfully on around 82.7% of all the devices. After that, we press the Finish button. Please observe that you should wait until the build finishes. Then our application will be ready. On the left side, you will see a few folders. The most important ones where we will be working in are Java folders, where we will keep our logic and our events and methods, and it will be the res directory. In the res directory, we will find our layouts and our components. Specifically, we will start with the layout directory inside the res and our first activity. Our first activity is the main activity, which we can open either in design view or inside the code view. On the top right corner or in the lower left, depends on your layout and your screen size. You will be able to switch between code, design, or show both. Today we will be working mostly in the code view, because this is the way how we can work way faster than using the layout view. We are going to work in the layout, which is called linear layout, because this will allow us to make our application tiny bit simpler. Instead of the constraint layout, we will remove it, and we will start typing linear layout. Here it is. A part of this, instead of the text view, we would need to set the following information. First thing, we will adjust the linear layout a little bit. We would add a gravity to make sure that our content is centered. So we will put the center gravity. Also, we would need to add the orientation of our screen. I expect that this screen will be used in the vertical or portrait mode. So I will also set the vertical view here. This text view I don't really like. I would prefer using different linear layouts inside other linear layouts. A good thing about those is that we can simply nest those views, those layouts inside each other. Therefore, we will be building our design, our layout, by nesting multiple linear layouts into another linear layout. A lot of linear layouts today. So I will open a new tag called linear layout, where I will put the following information. So instead of the width and height, I would be putting something called wrap content. That would make sure that the space taken by this block is not more than the content inside this block. So we put the both for width and height. A part of this, I will put additional item called gravity. Gravity, as you remember, sets the positioning of this element, and I will put the gravity to the top. So it will be located on the top of the screen. Also, I would like to make sure that the orientation, in this case, will be horizontal. So it will take the whole row of our screen. So you might be asking, what are we going to put in this linear layout? And we are going to put here our logotype. I will keep it simple. Instead of the picture, I will use just a single text line, but feel free to use your imagination and draw or prepare a logotype of your application. So I will put here just a simple text view. So I'm opening a tag calling text view, where I'm going to put first of all the layout width and height. I expect that this element will take all the content of the wrapped linear layout. So I'm going to put match parent in both of the items, in the height and in the width. After that, I would like to put the gravity of this element, and I will put it center here. So it is centered in the middle and centered from top and bottom of the parent linear layout. Then, after we have positioned and sized our text view, I will also like to put the text of this element, and I will put the name of my application, which will be Spaceship Management System. Hopefully no typos there. And the last thing, as this is the logotype or something similar to logotype, I would also want to increase the text size a little bit. So I'm going to select the property text size, and I will just put something similar to 30 elements. And basically this is it. I can close the tag. So let's take a look at what we have built so far. And here it is, our spaceship management system, located just in the middle of the screen. As the next element, we are going to add an input. we need two inputs, the username and the password. So what we could do is we could add just another linear layout. But instead of creating a new tag, I prefer copying stuff I have already built. So just below this first linear layout we will put another one. We will keep the same properties, wrap content, gravity top, and horizontal orientation. And what we will put instead of actually we will keep also the text view. But we would like to tell the customer that he or she needs to enter the username. So I will just remove this larger font size, and instead of the text I will put in the word username. And let's save and look at the design. Here it is, a smaller entry of the username. The adjustment of the layouts, the adjustment of the elements on the screen will be done later, and you will be doing this on your own. For now, during this tutorial, we will be building a simple, ugly solution. Your task would be to make sure it is looking as you want. So, after this text view, we would of course like to ask customer to enter something into the input, right? So what we are going to do afterwards, we are going to add another element. So just below this text view we will be adding a new element which will be called edit view. So let's add it. This edit view in Android represents just a simple input field which you can control as much as you want. So what we're going to do, we're creating a simple edit text element. So this element will contain multiple items, and of course we would like to make sure that we are wrapping the content so this input doesn't take too much space on the screen. So both for the width and height we are going to use the wrap content elements. As we are going to use the value of this edit text later to actually log in user with this username, we will be adding an ID of this element. By ID we will be able to identify this field and retrieve its value and use it afterwards in our application. So I'm going to select plus ID slash, and I'll call it username. And also a few other useful attributes we will add to this element. The first one will be weight, which will make sure that the input is located on the top. A part of the weight we would like to add also the size of the input text. So how many pixels the text in the input will be. And this property is called EMS. And I will tell that the input will take something like 10 pixels. Also, I would like to align this input and text input into the input, basically how the text will be aligned inside the input. And we will use the attribute called text alignment to make sure that the text is located in the center of the input. And basically this is it. We can save and move to the design view. Please observe what we have now. We have our name of our application, we have the label, and on the same line we will have an input where we will be able to enter the username. Okay, returning back to the code. As I am a lazy developer, a very lazy developer, then I'm copy-pasting all the stuff and replacing everything for the password. So I have copied the whole linear layout, which will represent an input field for the password. So what I'm going to do for the text view, I'm going to change the input to the password. I'm going to change the ID to password as well. And let's check if it will work. I have a feeling that this might be shown on the same line, but everything is actually working as I would expect it to work. So username and password. In some cases, this might not work and might work as you expect. Then you would need to play with the orientation of the layout. So to make sure that these fields do not fit on the same line, so you will be putting the vertical alignment to make sure that those elements, those linear layouts, are located just below the previous one. So in our case, this is working as expected because our screen width is not that wide, but I believe we should set the vertical alignment in both linear views. So we are guaranteeing that even on the wider screens, username and password are working as expected. But now, as you can see, the input has been set below the username and password. So we might return back, and for our text view and edit view, we would put our orientation to horizontal. We will just copy it into both elements, horizontal, and we are going to copy it also in the second one, right here, and also in this linear, also in this text view, and also in this edit view. So we are making sure that our screen is located as we expect. Okay, it did not work as I expected it to work, but you can always adjust the design as you want. Yes, anyways, we will return back to original vertical layout, which was working before. Like this. Returning back to the design view, username and password. So we can enter both username and password, but what we are missing? A button. So we would need a button to actually log in the customer. So I'm copying the linear layout once again to make sure that I'm not writing all this stuff once again. And instead of these text views and edit views, I will add one new component called a button. For this button, I will use wrap content and wrap content for the width and height. I will use the text of this button and it will be login. And also I will use an ID field for the Android, so we would be able to identify this button and to adjust some controls to it. I will call it btn1 for the sake of simplicity. And this is it. Going back to design view and we can see that there is the login button underneath. So here is our first screen, Spaceship management system with username and password. When we have our button and our input fields on the screen, we can proceed with some logic to our login functionality. So let's go to the main activity.java in the left side of the screen in the project editor, in the project viewer. So in our main activity method, we will create a few variables. So first one will be a variable called edit text, and I will call those variables edit1 and edit2 and put a semicolon. Also, we will have a single button, so we will import it, and I will call it btn1, the same as on our layout. So in inside our onCreate method, when all the default activities are completed, we will actually retrieve the references to our layout, so we are able to work with those elements from our Java code. So I will create that edit1 is actually our username, and I will use a method called findViewById, and in the brackets we would need to put a reference to our ID of the input. So I will use an R, which is a reference to our resources, ID dot username. As you can see, IntelliJ or Android Studio is actually already helping us. Also with the edit2, we will use the same method called findViewById. We will use our reference to our resources, ID, and password. So we have now two input fields where we have entered username and password. Now what we are missing is our button 1. And using the same approach, findViewById, our ID dot button1, like this. And what we would like to do as well, we would like to add an event listener. What happens when we click this button? So I will put button1, so this is our submit button. I will put a dot, and I will put a set on click listener. So this is a method that will be called when we click on the button. Inside the attributes of this method, I will put a new v. Basically, I would like to put a new view.onClickListener. This is a method that will be automatically generated. As soon as I start typing v and press enter, it will automatically generate onClick method inside this setOnClickListener. So, inside this onClick block, we will be adding some handling of this click button. So we would like to log in. So for now, I will put just a comment that we would like to log in. But a good development practice requires us to actually write a separate method for this functionality. So I will add another method that we will be calling, and I will call this method login. I believe I will use, let it be public. If it will be not needed anywhere, I will change it to private afterwards. This method will not return anything, so its return type will be void, and the name will be login. Let's open the brackets and open the body of the method. First thing, I would like to retrieve the username. And the username will be content of the data input. So it will be edit1. Please remember, we have named our username as edit1 dot get text, and we will transform it to string, just to make sure that it's not interpreted differently. Then, as a next step, we will want to retrieve a password, which will be edit2 get text, and once again to string. So, as the first thing, we will need to write some validation. So, for now, I will just keep it really simple, and I will just check that the username and the password is not empty. So, if username dot equals empty string, why? Because we have added toString method here. Or password dot equals empty string. In this case, we would like to show customer that something is wrong. So we will be using a toast element. Toast element here is an Android widget that will be shown on the top of the screen, on top of all the other elements. It will have quite large priority on the views. So I will call a method makeText where I will be putting a reference to this class, and I will put some text that username or password are empty, like this. Also, I will put another kind of validation. This will be, for now, a hard-coded username. So I will put if username dot equals Artyom's. You can and you should use your real name. And password dot equals, let it be QWERTY. In this case, I'm going to, for now, use the same toast. I will use the same method makeText. I will put a reference to this, comma, and I will put also that login was successful. For now, as you can see, I'm not connecting it to the database, I'm not connecting it to anywhere, I'm just hard-coding the data. And now we have set our empty input validation, we have set our successful scenario, and then we will need to put a fallback scenario. What happens if the username and password is incorrect? Then we will once again use a toast element, makeText, we will put a reference to the context, this, and we will put a message, username or password is incorrect, like this. I see some errors here, but we will take a look at it a bit later. We are now missing a few things. First one is the length of the toast. I completely forgot that we need to set the maximum length of the toast message. So I'm going to use a parameter toast. I will use the length long to set the length of the parameter, and what is really important, we need to show this toast. So we're going to call the method show. The same will be copied over, actually with the comma as well, to all three other occurrences of this toast message. Here it is. So, is it time to actually run our application and test it? Yes, it is. It will take a few moments until the application is started, and we will probably then see our first login page on our Android emulator. As you can see, it is still building, installing, launching, launch successful. So opening our emulator, and what you can see, the system UI is not responding. Okay, it was probably my previous application. So let's try first of all to enter some empty username, right? So entering empty username, pressing login, and nothing happens because we did not match. We did not actually map the login method to the on-click button. But at least something can be entered in the screen. So first of all, let's map our login method, and then rebuild our application. Application is relaunching. Okay, stopping and launching. So, for me to make sure that everything is working, I had to cold boot the device and basically restart the mobile phone. So what I did, I went to the Tools, AVD Manager, clicked here and selected Cold Boot Now. After that, my mobile device, virtual mobile device, restarted. And after that, by pressing an empty username and password and pressing Login, you will see a toast that the username and password is empty. Then by entering the username, some random one, and pressing back, you will see that the username or password is incorrect. And then by entering the real username, the one that I have entered before, QWERTY, and pressing login, you will see login was successful. What we needed to prove. As you have noticed, everything was really cool, but I wouldn't really not like that my password is seen by everyone. So I would make sure that this property is set to the password property, and we will see some asterisks or dots instead of the password. To do so, we would need to go to our activity main, we would need to go to the design view, click on the password field, and then scroll down to the properties. So in here we will have a property called password field. So we will scroll to the password and set it to true. I cannot find it like this, so I will just enter a password. And right here I have just checked it to true. And this should do the trick. Saving the code. And this is it for the first part and the first activity.